Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. All right, folks, it is a beautifully chilly day here in Las Vegas. Tons of cloud cover. Football's on. And I have these fantastic breakfast burritos from this Mexican place down the street that are about to get devoured after I'm done talking to you. All right, I hope all of you had a great Saturday night. I hope your weekend was fantastic. My weekend was pretty good. Nice and chill, nothing too exciting. A lot of research, a ton of research, reaching out to sources, getting things bundled up, getting things locked away, and really preparing for this trip to Santa Fe, New Mexico, where I really think that it's going to be an eye-opening experience. I'm going to have, like I said, and like I was saying yesterday, I'm going to have some surprises for you as well. A couple of different pieces of video footage I plan on shooting and then editing, and then I'm going to package it as a small documentary. So I'm thinking maybe a half hour or so. So I'll get all of the footage and then I'll package it, and then probably February-ish I'll release it in like a small documentary form. But before that, I'll release the article that I'm going to write about the trip as well. So you'll have that, and you'll have, obviously, I'll be podcasting like a madman from there. So we'll have all of that stuff going on. We'll have all of our ducks in a row, and then we'll have at least a basis of what's going on in New Mexico, where we can go and at least I can go and I can be confident in the work that I do, to know that I'm not being led around by the nose by some of these journalists, because we know that a lot of these journalists don't want to really report the truth. They're scared that their quote unquote faves are going to get caught up in this. Well, I'm here to tell you folks, I have no faves. I just want to see the whole entire thing torn down around their ears, all of them. I wouldn't care if every single person in Congress and Senate was perp-walked. I truly would not care. Because if you dig deep enough on any one of these people, you are going to find dirt. None of them are squeaky clean. None of them are squeaky clean. All right? And you have a guy like Chuck Schumer who runs around running his fat, big, ugly mouth on a regular basis like he's some sort of pillar of society. Meanwhile, he accepted $7,500 in donations from Jeffrey Epstein. All right? So were you palling around with him, Chucky Schumer? Were you and Jeffrey Epstein at dinners? Was he your friend? And let's talk about NXIVM a little bit, Chucky Schumer. You see what I mean? You have all of these people that run around and they act like they're the moral compass of the world, when in reality, they're just as corrupt and maybe even worse in some cases than even Jeffrey Epstein. So all of these people that were involved with Jeffrey Epstein, all of them, from Donald Trump on down, with their denials and blah blah blahs, look, that's not going to cut it. We need to truly question every single person who was involved in this case, all of the big time players, all of the power brokers, all of the politicians, all of the businessmen, all of the academics, every single person that was around Jeffrey Epstein needs to be questioned. Okay? Pretty simple. They have enough police officers to do it, obviously. Look at the way they're going hard after everything else. Look at the task force they set up to stop the mafia. But we can't get 10, 15, 20 agents to do a solid job here. We can't get somebody to raid the Zorro Ranch. Look, I'm going to New Mexico. If they want me to do it, I will. I'll put a pair of booties on, some gloves, collect some evidence for you. I mean, it's that ludicrous. How can that place not have been raided yet? How in the flippity flop world has that place not, the door hasn't been kicked in, evidence hasn't been collected? What? So you know there was a big burn party there, right? The people that are working there are still being paid by his trust. So if you think that those people aren't going to get rid of evidence or, help Jeffrey Epstein out, you have another thing coming. So therefore, everybody that's still at that house should be subpoenaed as well. You're all part of a criminal enterprise. You're all getting slapped with counts of RICO. But for some reason, we haven't even heard one single word about RICO from all of these fine minds on TV. All of these fancy Harvard lawyers. Not one mention of RICO. Yet here I am, just some, regular old guy, just a regular old Italian dude trying to make his way through life. And even I know that this stinks of a RICO case. Slap it on him, and let's be done with it. If his name ended in a Val, you better believe they would have done slap that on him. He would have had RICO charges for the first investigation if he was Italian. They love slapping those charges on Italian folks. All right, folks, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. Now, our article from the Palm Beach Post, it's an editorial from their editorial board, and it has to do with the work release program in Palm Beach that just was canceled. And I really didn't go too much into that story. I really didn't think it was, I don't know. It was kind of a boring story, to be honest with you. But this part of it, I think, is important because the Palm Beach Post is responding to the sheriff trying to save face by getting rid of that program. So the Palm Beach Post, who has been on the front line of this whole entire thing, is basically telling them, screw you, we still want answers. So the article, like I said, Palm Beach Post, the headline, editorial, Bradshaw ending PBSO work release program doesn't end probe into Epstein incarceration. Yeah, it doesn't. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office work release program is costly and underused, and not to mention, under investigation. The staff of the County Criminal Justice Commission, citing the first two reasons, recommended the controversial program be shut down. Sheriff Rick Bradshaw last week abruptly decided to follow the staff's recommendation. Bradshaw is right to shutter the work release program, one of only 5 in the state. While it was good that most participants successfully complete the program, the risks of contraband being introduced into the Palm Beach County stockade or the potential for accidentally releasing an inmate from a maximum security facility isn't really worth it. I agree with that. Look, if you did the crime, you have to do the time, folks. Right? If you've committed a real crime, you need to do the time. I don't want to hear about work release, none of that stuff. Stay in jail, educate yourself. Get some books, take some classes. You're grounded, bro. All right? You're not getting out. You can't go play with your friends. There's no work release program. Nothing. Read, write, educate yourself, and work towards rehabilitation. Why is that so difficult? We need to let these guys go out. We need to let people like Jeffrey Epstein leave their cell for a few hours so he can go do whatever the bleep he wants? Come on, man. The sheriff's office will maintain its house arrest program, which could include work release should a judge allow it, but it won't decide who can participate. Well, that's good. The judge should decide, right? The man who passed the sentence should decide if people are allowed to go out on work release. He should get all the information from the jail, whatever investigation needs to happen, and then he should decide. Not some warden, not some sheriff, not Joey the patrol officer. But the best reason for ending the work release program is the same reason that Bradshaw requested a limited review in the first place back in August. The lingering stench from its cushy handling of the former Palm Beach financier, pedophile, and convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. The outrageous deference shown Epstein, now deceased, stands apart from any systemic issues in a seldom used work release program. This is about what State Senator Lauren Book called an unprecedented and deeply troubling level of leniency and luxury while Epstein was incarcerated. And ask yourselves, folks, was it just the money? Was it just the money that enabled that? Or was it the people he knew? Or was it the people who were handling him? Or was it the people who were protecting him? Were they the reason that he was able to get off on this stuff and have this kind of cushy deal? Or was it just the money? We see plenty of people with a lot of money go to jail, folks, right? We've seen it a lot. We've seen it plenty of times. But not Jeffrey Epstein. Oh no, Jeffy Eppy does whatever he wants. He has a whole wing. He has his own security. He has a driver come and pick him up. He has a plainclothes officer from the jail go with him. All on his dime, of course. So basically, if you can afford it and you're in jail and you're Jeffrey Epstein, well, the world is your oyster still, baby. Do what you want. Me or you go to jail? Forget it. Absolutely forget it. All right, we go to jail for a 2-year sentence. We end up doing 5 or 6 or 7 because you have to institutionalize, right? You have to run with whatever car you have to run with. You have to do whatever you have to do to survive while you're in there. So you go in there on a 2-year drug charge and you come out a hardened ass criminal, right? Who did work for insert prison gang here. Meanwhile, bitch ass Jeffrey Epstein, diddling kids, molesting people, whatever he wants to do. You got a whole wing to yourself, brother. Whatever you want. You want some chicken parmesan? We'll bring you some chicken parm. Whatever you need, man. How in the hell does that not enrage you? How does that not make you fighting mad? Epstein was somehow approved for the work release program while serving 13 months on 2 prostitution charges in 2008. An in-depth examination of the Stockade records by the Post's Christine Stapleton revealed how the 66-year-old Epstein got special treatment from day one, including his cell door being unlocked and liberal access granted to the attorney meeting room where a television was installed. He was even allowed to move to a separate, non-staffed area of the Stockade after he agreed to pay for his own guards. Does this sound like a man who's suicidal, by the way, folks? Does this sound like a man who's going to commit suicide in jail, folks? This is a man who, going by his first experience in jail, thinking that he was going to have this same sort of deal the second time around. He didn't kill himself. Come on. I just can't buy it. I just don't buy it. Not only did PBSO grant the convicted sex offender special treatment by allowing him out on work release, contrary to Bradshaw's own policy at the time, but Epstein is alleged to have had sex with underage girls while supposedly working at the West Palm Beach office of his sketchy Florida Science Foundation or at his home. Did you hear that in the back, folks? All right, this man, because of his privilege, was let out, and not only was he able to live a regular life and just go home and go back and sleep in the jail, he was able to hurt more children. The whole point of him being in jail and off the streets is to protect the population of people. But no, we're going to let him go out. He's going to do whatever he wants. I'm surprised they didn't bring girls there for him to molest. The whole entire system is destroyed, folks. It is absolutely corrupt. We have zero chance as regular people to navigate our way through the justice system. All right? Meanwhile, a guy like Jeffrey Epstein completely and utterly abuses it. As we have said previously, appearing so deferential to a serial sexual predator in your charge not only looks bad, it smells bad for both the PBSO and its 4-term sheriff. That's why we agreed with Book that an internal investigation and a subsequent criminal probe launched by Bradshaw into Epstein's stay in the Stockade, though commendable, are not enough to wipe away the stench on their own. Again, they're investigating themselves. The investigators are going to investigate themselves again, folks. Why is that always the case? Why don't they hire an outside company or an outside group to come and investigate them? I have an idea. How about the FBI? Oh, wait, we can't have the FBI investigate them. The FBI was in on it. The only way to do that is by having an outside agency conduct an independent probe. There is no independent probes anymore. Who's going to do it? Book, herself a victim of sexual abuse as a child, was right to press Governor Ron DeSantis to direct the Florida Department of Law Enforcement to determine whether someone broke the law or if a systemic failure occurred. A systemic failure would mean that the people who wrote the law failed. Okay? So hold them responsible. Why is it that nobody ever gets held responsible? We have 2 prison guards. The only people that got hemmed up. The only people that are going to have a shitty holiday now are these 2 prison guards. Not these scumbags. Epstein's buddies, all of his people, they're living the laps of luxuries, folks. Living in their $1 million apartments, going on their jet setter vacations. Doesn't matter if they molested anybody. We're not even human to them. DeSantis relented weeks later at Bradshaw's request, ordering FDLE to take over a criminal probe into not only the privileges provided Epstein while he was in PBSO custody more than a decade ago, but also irregularities regarding a 2008 plea agreement with Epstein. Bring it all to light. We want all of the information. We, along with Epstein's scores of young victims and county taxpayers, eagerly await the outcome of that independent investigation. The county CGC's independent probe comes nowhere close to providing the public confidence required in this case. Hey, didn't I just say that? Though well-meaning, CJC staff made no attempt to dig into Epstein's time in the work release program. The staff review was from January 2014 to August 2019, well after Epstein left. Of course it was. They still, even in death, they fear this man because they fear his handlers. We're not an investigative body, Christina Henson, executive director of the commission, told the Post's Hannah Morse. We're not here to find wrongdoing. We're not here to look at what happened in a particular case. Of course you're not. Because again, it's a face-saving procedure. Well, we're going to launch an investigation into ourselves. And they'll bring on these investigators that have no power to do anything. They can't subpoena anybody. They can't, initiate a grand jury. They can't do shit. That's a disappointing statement from an independent agency so closely tied to law enforcement. And to add confusion, the Corrections Task Force, a committee of the CJC, went against staff and voted to keep the program going because it worked. Oh yeah, okay, sure. I'm sure it worked. They're probably getting their beaks wet. Small wonder, then, that Bradshaw saw no need to wait for the CJC to vote on whether to end the work release program. He made his announcement Monday morning. The commission, standing on ceremony, voted 13-2 to keep it going later that same morning. Jeffrey Epstein, a sexual predator whose depravity found its way into our community schools, was allowed to participate in a work release program that treated him more like a client than an inmate. His victims, as well as the rest of us, still deserve to know why. The questions won't go away with this misused program's demise. 100%. Nice try. Nice try to make it look, give it an air of appearing that you really care about what's going on. But when you get into the nuts and the bolts of it and you really read what's going on down in the weeds, again, these committees don't give a shit. Investigators investigating themselves never works out. Okay? An independent agency needs to be established in America, and it needs to have complete oversight on this sort of stuff, because we can't trust Congress, we can't trust the Senate. Nobody wants to do any sort of oversight. So maybe a new commission needs to be formed, a commission that actually has law enforcement people on it that have the power of subpoena, that have the power to compel people to speak. Because if not, you just get more of this. Well, we're not really investigators. We're just like looking into the case, and like we really don't know what happened, and like nobody's gonna go to jail or anything. It's not about a specific case. I mean, it had nothing to do with Epstein. We just decided that we're gonna initiate this investigation. That's basically what it sounds like. When I read that sort of stuff, that's how it sounds to me in my head. Because it's just a bunch of BS. All right? Stand up and protect these girls. Stand up and hold someone accountable for once. All right, folks. I'll be back later on today with an evolution episode and, of course, the Daily Drop tonight. Hope everybody has a fantastic Sunday. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. And if you would like to support the show, you can click on the GoFundMe link in the description box. I will talk to you all later on.